Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at the new CAME-MINI2, which is an upgraded version of the CAME-MINI gimbal, and they've added some toolless features on here now, so you don't have to mess with the hex key as much to get your camera balanced. Now, I haven't tried it out yet, but here it is. As you can see, it comes in its own little case, similar to the cases that you've seen before in the other gimbals. It's kind of air-filled, padded, but not a hard case. So let's see what's in it. All right, so unzipped it. Here we go. We've got the power charger here. It uses 18650 batteries. So the charger's here. Underneath here is where your stand is placed. So when you're traveling with your stand, you can pack it away here. Now this is not a folding stand. So once you set it up with the hardware, it's not going to fit back in the case. If you're going to travel, you're going to have to take that stand apart and then put it back into the case. Comes with a little manual over here. Then we have the hardware right over here. This is to assemble the stand. Obviously our gimbal, and then the top handle comes off over here so that it can fit back into the case. Actually, let me take the gimbal out so you can see. Now I have this one here. This is our popular 7800, and now this is the CAME-MINI2, and I just wanted to show you the difference in size compared to this unit here. So you'll notice it's a lot smaller. Maybe if I hold it here, you can get a better look. This is the CAME-MINI2. Has some toolless features here and a QR plate, and this is the 7800, so definitely a lot easier to travel with, especially if you're just using small cameras like point and shoot cameras, or even GH4s or A7S cameras with small lenses. So let me get the stand set up so I can get this on the stand, and then we'll go through the process of balancing my GH4 and we'll see how easy that is. Okay, so we got the stand set up here, and this again is the CAME-MINI2. And as I said, the handle is separated from the gimbal when it's in the travel case. So to put that on, they've actually included a thumb knob here. It just goes on like this. So that is a toolless feature here, because the previous version you had to use a hex tool to get the handle on and off. So now you just have a thumb knob to get the handle on and off so you can pack it away nice and flat. Now inside the bag of hardware for the stand, you also have your QR screw here. So the QR plate, you'll have a screw located in here. To look at the batteries are actually located inside the handles. So on both sides, you'll have batteries, 2 batteries. So this is where the power button goes. You just unscrew this, and then you'll have 2 of these 18650 batteries here. And then on the opposite side, we unscrew this one as well, this red cap, and there's 2 more here. And there's your 18650 batteries. Now inside of the charger, you're going to select the voltage. In here it's going to be 3.6, so you set the switch, and then to charge it, the flat part, the negative part, will push down on the tab, and then you just seat it in here, just like that. So you'll do all 4 of them, and then you're going to plug it in. When the lights stop flashing, then your batteries are going to be charged. So that's how you charge the batteries. Now to get it back in, the way I do it is I look for the button, and then this button here, if you look on the inside, is has no spring, and on this opposite end has a spring. The spring will have the negative side of the battery. Now the button part goes nearest to the joystick. That's how it came. So you're going to put the negative part in so that the little button part of the positive side is sticking out of the handle. So you put 2 of those in there, and then again, the button, the on-off button, will screw here. Now on the opposite side, the batteries are going to face in the same direction, so the button part is going to go in on this side, and then the flat part, the negative part, is going to be facing out. And then we're going to take the other opposite end and screw that in here. All right, so once the batteries are in, you want to make sure the bubble level is facing up here, and that this front frame is on the outside. So You don't want this to be upside down. You don't want this frame to be facing inside. You want to make sure you rotate that and have it set up properly. So let's power this on and let's see what happens. Now there's no camera on here, so it's probably not going to be very stable, but it is on. As you can see, it is keeping the camera horizon level. So it's actually stabilizing this empty platform. It's a good sign. All right, so now powered it off, we will get our camera balanced on here. So the first thing we want to do is get the QR plate off and mount our camera here. So to do that, there's one thumb knob, and there's a button on the side here which will, it's kind of a safety. So you want to press the button to release the QR plate. There's a little arrow on the side, and there are some numbers here on the QR plate, and that will allow you to line it up with your camera and to get it back onto the gimbal in the proper balance point should you need to remove your camera and do this all over again. So let's just throw this on. The numbers are going to face on the right hand side of the camera where the hand grip is. So if you're standing behind the camera, it's camera right. All right, now we'll try to slide this in here and lock it down. Now our camera is not far enough forward, so let me reset it on the QR plate. So I'm going to loosen this up and push the camera more forward on the QR. Push it all the way actually. I remember this is the first time I'm doing this, so we'll see how hard or easy it is. Okay. Now this is not a heavy lens setup. This is just the GH4 and the Ronin-M fisheye, 7.5 fisheye, but it's still back heavy. It's very back heavy. So I need to get this camera more forward. The reason why is this front frame here is preventing my camera from going forward enough. So I need to actually get this front frame moved forward or just take it off completely. I don't know if we really need this for this camera setup here. But in order to do that, you actually do need tools because you have to remove the hex. So this front frame right here is not toolless. So let me find a hex tool and then move this front frame off. All right, so I got the front bracket off. I don't think it's really necessary for this camera. I think it's there because this gimbal eventually may be used for aerial type use. So that would make it more sturdy, but for handheld use, I don't think we need the bracket. So now with the bracket off, I can actually line my camera up by pushing it forward so we can get a better balance point. So there you go. I'm actually front heavy on this right now. And probably the reason I'm having a harder time balancing this is I don't have a longer, heavier lens. If I had a longer lens, I can actually push the camera back. But because I'm using a smaller kind of pancake fisheye here, I actually have to move the camera very far forward. So it's probably the reason I'm running into the problem with this bracket is because I have to move the camera forward. But this is my favorite setup, so I'm going to make this work. All right, so now that we kind of have things situated, we're going to go through the entire balance process, which there's a sequence that I like to do, and we haven't even gotten started yet. So the first thing that I like to do is actually lay the camera on its back. And you notice it's just kind of falling over because the top part of this camera is heavy. So I need to bring this camera down. We need to get the height off of this motor here, so we need to drop this down lower. And we're going to keep doing this until we can get this flat. Now there is no tool adjustment required here. I'm just running it down through these knobs. So that's pretty much laying flat on its back right here. You can see that. It's not falling down this way or this way. It's pretty much laying flat on its back. So there are some indicators on the side here, some little lines in case you want to know if you're symmetrical or not. But now we could lock this down. So we're using these front knobs here just to prevent it from dropping any lower. So that's locked in place. And again, we have this laying flat on its back. Now at this point we want to make sure that it's not, that we can maintain this position here. It's falling slightly backwards, which means I might just be a little bit back heavy. And if I'm back heavy because it's falling backwards, I want to move it out towards the lens. So we're going to do that by loosening up the QR plate and just kind of sliding it up just a little bit and then locking it down. We should be able to maintain these positions now. Okay, so now what we want to do is think about the roll. So I have my roll falling to camera right. It's just, as you can see, it's just dropping here. So I need to shift it. To do that, we're going to loosen the clamp on the back bar here. So we're going to loosen that up and we're just going to slide it over until we can get this level. Make sure it's not falling either way. And then we just lock it down. Make sure to lock it down tight. All right, we're getting there. It's looking pretty good. It's not bad. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is balance the yaw. Now, in order to do that, we're going to use this thumb knob on the top here, and we're going to slide this bar forward and back. To test if our yaw is in balance, we're going to just lift the handles sideways. And you notice how this is dropping down. That means that there's too much weight here, and we need to push this forward on this top post. So we're just going to loosen this up, slide it up just a little bit. You want to do this just a little bit at a time. And we're going to test again. So we're just going to lift this up and see if this is falling. So it's falling, but it's very slow, so we're getting close. So we're going to loosen this knob up again, slide it a little bit forward, and we'll test again. So now you notice it's not swinging at this point here, it's not falling over. So we have our yaw balanced. So we're balanced on all axes. Basically you want to start with your camera flat on its back, and then you want to slide the camera forward or back to make sure it's not falling on its lens or its back. And then you want to do the roll, and then you want to do the yaw. So that's the sequence that I go through to balance. All right, so at this point we're just going to boot it up. Power button here on the side. Remember, the joystick is facing you. Make sure you have the bubble level at the top, and typically the frame would be on the outside, and that's the proper way to do it. So let's just boot this up. And hopefully it's okay, because this is a fairly light setup for this gimbal. So let's see. Okay. As you can see, it's keeping the camera horizon level. So it's doing a good job stabilizing this setup right here. So we're going to get some really smooth shots with this gimbal. I mean, even though I'm being aggressive, it's managing to keep the camera's horizon level, so it's doing pretty good. So yeah, that's a look at Came's mini gimbal here, mini CAME-MINI2, which is the toolless version now, except for this frame on the front. I'm not exactly sure why they have the frame here, possibly because this gimbal could be used for aerial stuff, mounted underneath a large drone. But since this is designed just for smaller cameras, I don't see the need for this frame, because you're not going to put something massively heavy on here, and the way they've designed it, the frame is strong enough to hold up pretty much your GH4 1235 lens, or maybe even something a little bit bigger. But as far as the upgrades compared to the original Mini, huge plus. This is now toolless, so you can get the handle off very quickly without hex key. To move your camera up and down, you would use these knobs here, these fine tuning knobs, and then this is to just lock it down. Moving your camera forward and back, you would just use this thumb knob here and slide the QR plate forward and back. If you have to adjust the roll, which is side to side, you've got this thumb knob tucked away back here, so you just loosen that up and then you can slide this whole frame left and right. And then as far as the yaw goes, you see up here there's another thumb knob and some marks here, so you just slide that forward and back to get your yaw balanced out. So everything is completely toolless. It folds flat once you remove this top handle here, so it's easy to pack. The batteries are tucked away here. The only one thing that Came will caution you about is making sure you're not winding the frame up. There are wires that run through. For instance, there's wires here for the sensor. Then you have wires that run through the roll motor back here, and probably not up here to the top. So you don't want to just keep winding this over and over and over again, because you're just going to twist up the wire. So just be careful about that, and it should be good. As you can see, it stabilized the camera pretty well. There's some different modes on here. You just press the button. I'm not exactly sure what those modes are. Typically, one profile is for follow modes, and one profile disables follow modes. So you can dig into that if you know the software, plug it up, and you can see what has been configured. Just don't change anything if you don't understand how it works. So before you even try to do that, take a look at some of my videos. I show you how to connect to this, the software, how to set your sensors and check for motor inversion, change PID settings, powers, follow mode. I show you a lot of that stuff in some of my videos. I'm not going to get into it now because that actually takes hours and hours. So for you guys who are familiar with the Alex Most base cam type control and software, this is a great frame. It's very small, compact, and it balances very well. Again, this is only designed for the smaller cameras. So if you're familiar with tuning yourself, this is going to be great. If you're not familiar, it should have a general profile there that should work for most cameras around this size or a little bit heavier. But for more information about this stuff, if you guys have any questions, check it out on the blog, cheesycam.com. Once again, this is CAMETV's CAME-MINI2 toolless version of their mini gimbal. So, let me see. All right, so we're going to just test this CAME-MINI, and go ahead. Just follow us rolling. Okay, good, good.